I'm Martin from Point Fire. This year I was hoping to entice you with a booth, games, prizes, giveaways. No, Kate, no. But I have to settle for 60 seconds here to show you our very cool new translation tool for the brand new SharePoint multilingual publishing feature.
The new feature is available for certain modern pages on communication site. Out of the box, if you click on translation, it opens up a translation panel. From there, you can create a copy of the page. It doesn't actually translate it. Let's create one for French, and then let's go view that page. The page is still in English. Someone on your staff has to translate it and to publish it. Let's try that again, but this time I've activated PointFire Translation Automation. So once again, let's create one for French, and then let's view that page. By the time we view it, PointFire has already translated for your approval. Go to try.pointfire.com for a free trial or contact us for a demo.
Okay. Thank you to our silver sponsors. Without them, we could not make an event like this possible. And without further ado, let's bring it on to our speaker of this event. I do not know how to pronounce your name. Is it Pragati?
Yeah, that works fine.
Okay, great. Welcome. How do you pronounce your name? I want to get it right.
It's Pragati.
Pragati?
Okay, yeah, great. I mean, obviously, it's a little different. It's an Indian origin name. So.
Yes. Well, great to meet you. Great to meet you and having you here. And I'll let you take it over.
Okay, let me just share my screen. Okay. Can you guys see my screen and hear me properly?
Yes.
Okay, so welcome everyone to my session today on data analysis using Power BI for beginners. Before we start the session, I'll just like to give a short introduction about myself. So my name is Pragati Jain and I'm a Microsoft Data Platform MVP. I'm also one of the super user at Microsoft Power BI community. I've got nearly 10 plus years of industry experience. In my initial years, I've worked as a database developer, but from last 5 years, I've been working into data analytics. And currently, I'm working as a senior data analyst at Trustpilot. If anyone wants to connect with me on social network website, then I've got my own blogging website. If you're interested, you can go there and you'll find pretty good tips and tricks around working with Power BI. This is my LinkedIn handle, my Twitter handle. I've included my Power BI community profile link and my Instagram. One fun fact about me, I'm a painter and I proudly call myself a techie artist. And before we start the session, I would just like to show you the agenda, what I have prepared for the session. So our today's session is going to be a one slide and it will be an all demo session. So I'll be showing you everything in Power BI from a beginner point of view. So we'll spend some time initially just, getting ourselves comfortable with Microsoft Power BI desktop tool. Then we'll move on to the next section, which will be analysis of travel insurance data. So we'll just import a sample data set. And then just I'll try to show you like from a beginner point of view, how you can bring in data, how you can create some basic charts, which can give you really good insights. And then we'll end up identifying top 5 key insights from this data. Then the next one will be in the end, obviously, as we have got limit on the session timing. So in the end, I'll just show you quickly a ready report, which I just created using this data set, which will, give me more, which will give you more idea around what kind of interactions you can build in Power BI for a user interaction. And then in the end, if there are any questions, then I'll take some questions. Okay, so let's get started with Power BI. So I have opened this window. So I have opened a Power BI desktop window. Now, before I get into that, so Power BI has got 2 different environments. One is a Power BI desktop tool, which is like a standalone tool, and it is free to use. So you can just download it and use it. And it is generally for the developers who want to develop different reports in Power BI. Then the second environment is known as Power BI Service, which is basically a cloud environment. So once the developers build or develop their reports in Power BI desktop, in order to share those reports with different stakeholders or customers, you can publish these reports in the cloud environment, which is Power BI service. So from where your different users or customers or clients can access the reports and interact with them. But for today's session, we'll be focusing only on Power BI desktop, because here I'll be showing you a few build techniques in Power BI from beginner. So when you open a Power BI desktop tool, you just end up with this blank canvas. Now, before I start doing anything in this session, what we'll do is we'll just import a sample data set in Power BI, so that once the data is there in Power BI, I can start showing you what basic charts we can create and what insights we can generate. Okay, so in Power BI, when you see this top ribbon, you have got an option to get data. When you click on get data, you have multiple different data source connectors available in Power BI. I'll just point to a few main which are mostly used. So like, for example, files like Excel, text or CSVs, we have got Parquet file, we have got SharePoints, we have got different database connectors available, like you can connect to SQL Server database, you can connect to Oracle, you can connect to MySQL, Postgres, and so on. But for this session, I'll be sticking to just a basic data source, because this is a beginner session, so I don't want to go into a next step kind of data source connection. So I'll just stick to a CSV file. So for this demo, I'll be importing a CSV file data set. Okay, so I'll click connect. Once you click connect, it asks you to, navigate to the path. So what I'll do, I'll just navigate to the path. I'll select my file and I click open. So what Power BI is doing, Power BI is trying to bring that data in Power BI, import it. So once that data is read by Power BI, you get to see a preview of what your data is about. So for example, you can see like all these columns are in my data source. So you can see the column and the kind of data values these columns have got. So Power BI just gives you a preview of top 200 rows based on its best judgment, what the data is. So once you click on load, Power BI is loading the data. Once that data is loaded, you can see like on the right, there's something called fields pane. And under fields pane, you can see like that data set is loaded. And once you expand it, you can see all the columns that are in our data set. Okay, so this is what our data is about. Now, just to show you some kind of cleaning steps in Power BI, I'll just import one of the small data set. Okay, and it's an Excel kind of data source. So what I'll do is I'll go to get data. I'll click on Excel. Once I click on Excel, it asks me to select the data source. So I select my data. I click open. And Power BI is slowly bringing that data. Now, I mean, among you, whoever is coming from an Excel background or who have worked with Excel, they know like Excel works on like multiple sheet principle. So for example, in my case, my Excel sheet has only got one sheet and I want to load that. But in your case, suppose if you have got an Excel sheet, which is Excel spreadsheet, which has got multiple sheets, then Power BI gives you options like which sheets you want to bring in to Power BI. So in my case, I've just got one sheet, so I just select that. I load it. Once I load it, Power BI is loading that additional data source in here. So we can see under fields pane that plain accidents data source is here, and you can see what all columns it has got. Now you'll see like there are some weird columns that Power BI read. Now I'll show you how we can handle these kind of things in Power BI. Now, before we do anything, as part of best practice, I always suggest like whenever you import data in Power BI, you should go and view the data from a high level point of view. Now, from high level point of view, I mean like whether your data is right, are the data types correct? Like, for example, if there's some field like amount or commission in your data, then are these fields taken as a numeric value or decimal value, or are the columns which needs to be text values, are they text? So you need to go and have a high level view in Power BI. So Power BI provides a very good environment to do this. So on the top ribbon, if you see something like transform data, when you click on it, and if you click on transform data, Power BI opens a new window, and it is known as Power Query Editor. Now, again, I would say those who are from Excel background, they are very much familiar with Power Query Editor, because Excel has got the same kind of functionality, which is Power Query Editor, which helps you to, do a lot of stuff with your data. You can transform your data, you can add columns, or, you can modify your data in few ways. So Power BI has taken that same functionality from Excel, and here it gives the similar kind of interaction to transform your data to a certain level. Now, if you see here, we can see a travel insurance data, and we can see all the columns here. Now, let us see a few things in Power BI. And what I'll do is, if you see this view tab, there's an option called column quality. OK, I'll just minimize my left and right panes, and we'll get them back once we finish this, this part of the demo. So here you can see, once you click on column quality, Power BI actually comes up with 3 different metrics. Now, these 3 different metrics are known to tell you some level of quality check on your column in your data. So like, for example, if you see this agency column, it gives me 3 metrics there. One is valid, one is error, one is empty. Now, valid represents more around whether the data within that column or the row values within that column seem to be right or not. So that's what valid means. Error, if Power BI has identified any error in that column, and empty is if Power BI has identified any empty values in that column. Now, in this case, this column looks perfect. It is 100% valid. It has got 0% error and 0% empty. But let me take you to a column called gender. So if you see this column, it just shows me that 11% values in this column are valid. There are no errors, but there are 89% empty values. Now, if you see, there are 2 values I can see. M, obviously M is for male and F is for female, as it is a gender column. And the third value seems to be empty here. Now, when you encounter such situations in Power BI, I would always suggest, as part of best practice, to handle these empty values. Because if you don't handle these empty values, this may actually lead to some kind of wrong conclusions when you start analyzing this data in Power BI. So what we'll do in this case is we'll try to replace these empty values with some value. So to do that, what you can do is click on your column, right click on it, and there's something called replace values. So click on replace values. Once you click on replace value, a new window appears. Now here it asks you to input. The first input is what value you want to find in this column and with what value you want to replace it with. So it's a simple, sensible thing. So the first thing is value to find. Now in my case, it is empty. So I can just keep it empty. And I want to replace it with what value, that value I need to give here. So maybe I'll give you in my case. The reason is I always try to replace empty values with the value which are, in sync with the existing values in that column. So for example, in gender column, the existing values are M and F, which represents M for male, F for female. So I just want to replace my empty values with U, which is unknown. So you are flexible flexible to replace with any values like not applicable, not given, not found, those kind of things. But for this this part, I'll just replace it with U. Once I give that value and hit OK, all of my values in this column are empty values are replaced by a single character called U. Now, if you see my column metrics, quality metrics are changed, like valid is 100, error is 0, and empty is 0. So that's like a simple way of showing how you can replace values in Power BI. OK. Now, the other thing what I like to view every time is column distribution. Now, what column distribution tells you is it just tells you like what kind of values in that column are. Now, let's take an example here. For example, take this column destination. When you see destination and you see this distribution at the bottom, now this distribution tells you that this column destination has got 65 distinct values and 16 unique values. Now in layman term, I mean in English language, when we hear about distinct and unique words, they mean same to us, right? Distinct and unique is same. But when you work with data, so to a data person, distinct and unique hold different meanings. Now, what the difference is, distinct. Now, Destination column has got 65 distinct values. This means this column has 65 different destination names in it. 16 unique means there are 16 values in this column that appear only once. So that's the difference between distinct and unique. So in this way, like these certain metrics have just given us like a high level view of the data, like what kind of data we have got and what are their distributions. Now what we'll do is I'll just bring back my left and right pane. And the other things what we can see in Power Query Edit is whether the data types of a column are right. So like, for example, if I see these columns, they look right because they need to be text, and duration, okay, duration needs to be numeric. Now, similarly, if I come here, net sales commission, okay, they are decimal numbers. So yeah, works with me. Then there's a column called age. Okay, so age needs to be a number. So Power BI has identified it as a number. Now in Power BI, there's an icon against every column. Like when it is numeric, it is 1, 2, 3. When it is text, it is ABC. When it is decimal, it is 1.2. That's how Power BI shows you what's the data type of those columns are. Now, just as part of exercise, I want to show you how you can, handle the weird column stuff when Power BI reads them wrong in a data set. Let's go to the plain accidents data set. And here we can see Power BI just read these random columns, which are actually not part of my data set. Now, in my Excel sheet, somewhere in a row, I just mentioned the source of this data set from where I have picked it up. So I think Power BI just took it as different columns, and that's why I read these 4 columns extra. So now in this case, I just want these 2 columns. I want to remove these 4 columns. So what you can do is you can remove these 4 columns in Power BI easily. So one way is you can right click and remove. So if you hit remove, it will just remove that 1 column. Now, whatever you do, all these steps are shown here. So you have removed 1 column. So that's why that step came up here. And you can remove these steps also. Now, in this case, we want to remove multiple columns. So what we do is we just select all the columns in one go and then remove them. So on a Windows machine, what you can do is just use your control key and select all the 4 columns, right click and remove columns. So you just removed all these 4 columns in a single step rather than doing them one by one. Now there's other way of doing it is if I just remove this applied step from the right, and I just want to keep these 2 columns. So the other way is click the columns that you want to keep in the data set, right click, and there's an option saying remove other columns. If you select this option, it removes the other columns which we don't want. So these are the 2 ways you can use to remove columns from a data set. Now, the other things what you can do in Power BI is, for example, you can transform data in certain way. Like, for example, you can add group by if you want to group by your data by a certain column. You can transpose the data. You can replace values like we just saw. You can pivot or unpivot your data. You can split column by some delimiter. And there's also a capability to run R and Python script here in Power Query. So you can do that as well. Then apart from that, if you want to add some new columns by some calculation, so you can add some custom column, you can invoke custom function here, you can add a conditional column, you can add an index column, you can do some date time kind of stuff here. Then there's a different section for AI insights, so where you can actually bring your Azure machine learning model in Power BI, run it on a test data set, and then you can try to represent the output in a good chart. Then there's something called text analytics, so you can connect Power BI to the text analytics API and do some text analytics stuff here. So those are the basic things you can do in Power Query. Now remember one thing, whenever you do any changes or apply any extra steps in Power Query, you need to make sure you close and apply your changes. Because if you don't apply your changes, Power BI won't save whatever you have done in Power Query. So here there is option. So we'll just choose close and apply. It will just close the window and save all the settings. So that is close and apply. So once we click on it, Power BI will just process your changes, what you have done in Power Query. And it will bring the changes here. So you can see like we removed those extra weird columns from plain accidents data set. So they are removed and we just see these 2 columns here. So our Power Query changes are saved and taken up by Power BI. Now let's view a few more things. Now on the left, there are 3 icons. This is called report. Now, these are basically 3 areas in Power BI. Now, report area is where you basically build your visuals out of these data. The second section is data section. Now, what data section shows you? It shows you the data sets you have loaded. So for example, if I click on plane accidents, I see plane accidents data. If I click on travel insurance, I see travel insurance data. I can apply multiple filters if I want to, just to see the data at a different granularity or different level. So it is similar to what you can do in Excel. Then the third section is like the modeling section. So modeling section is more around if you have certain relationships between the data set, then you can see those relationships. But currently we don't have any relationships here, so we don't see anything here. So just I can show you a quick relationship kind of thing, like how you create relationship in Power BI, just a basic way. So like if you see like these 2 data sets, both of my data sets have got one common column. So plane accidents data has got a country column and travel insurance data has got destination column. So let's create relationship between these columns so that these 2 tables are related. So now there are 2 ways of creating relationships here. One is if you click on these 3 dots, there's something called manage relationships, which you can use to create a new relationship, or on the top row, on the top ribbon, there's something called manage relationship again here. So we can use either of the 2 options. Now, once I click on it, a window appears and it just tells me there are no relationships defined yet. Okay, that's true because I haven't defined any relationship. So now let's just go further and create a relationship. So I'll just click on new. Now, once I click on new, a new window appears and it asks me to select the tables between which I want to create a relationship. So the first table is plane accidents. And now you see the second table, Power BI selected by default. The reason is in this scenario, I just imported 2 data sets to Power BI. Now, suppose if you have more than 2 data sets imported to Power BI, then Power BI gives you option to choose which table you need as a second table to create relationship. Now, once you select your tables, you just need to select the columns on which you want to create these relationships. So for plane accidents, we select country. And for travel insurance, we select destination. Once we select the columns, Power BI by default creates a relationship on its best judgment, like the cardinality. Now, what the cardinality is more around what's the direction of relationship is. So for example, my plane accidents data set has got a unique row for each country value. So there's a single value for a single country in that data set. So I'll not have a duplicate rows for basically a country. That's why it is one to many, and my travel insurance data set has got multiple rows for a single destination. That's why the direction or cardinality is one to many. So once you click OK, Power BI shows this relationship here. And once you close it, a relationship is created here. So that's a basic relationship creation in Power BI. I'll not be covering data modeling or relationship in this session because it's a complete big topic in its own. So that's how you do a basic relationship thing in Power BI. Now, just to give an idea about the data set, because this is the travel insurance data set, which we'll use to, create next data analysis based visuals. So what this data set is about, this data set contains all the travel insurance products that different agencies have sold to different customers. And it also has information like the sales they have generated by selling those products and the commission they charged while selling those products. In addition, there's also information around gender and age of the customer who have bought these products. Now, one thing what I can show you here quickly is to modify some data types. Like, for example, net sales. Now, when we talk about sales or commission or total amount, so these kind of things are generally represented with a currency symbol in front of them, right? So what we'll do is we'll just change the data type of this net sales so that a currency symbol is shown before the value. So like currently it just shows 10. Let's show us as £10 or $10. So once you click on a column on the top ribbon, it shows you the data type of the column and what format it has got. OK, so in this case, what I want to do is I want to add a currency symbol. So I want to represent it as a currency value. So what I'll do is I'll just click on near the drop down against this currency symbol. When I hover over it, it asks me to select whatever currency I want. Let's select United States $. So once you do that, it appends a dollar sign. So your value is represented as a currency value. Now, suppose if I don't want this to be 2 decimal places, I just want to show it as a whole number. So what I'll do is I'll just give the number of decimal places to 0 and it shows me 10 pounds. So that's like a whole number. Now the same transformation we'll do for commission also, because commission is also a currency value. So it's better to show it in a currency way. So we'll do the same thing. Click United States currency. It shows dollar sign. I don't want any decimal places, so I'll just make it as a whole number. So that's the way, you can change data types, or you can, change the values for representation purpose in Power BI. Now let's just start with visualization. Okay, so when you come here, Power BI shows you this visualization, these inbuilt visualizations. Now these are the inbuilt visualizations in Power BI which you can use. Then there is another section where you can bring in some custom visuals in Power BI from their app source. So there's another way of bringing some additional custom created third-party visuals, which you can bring in Power BI to do this stuff. But for this session, we'll just stick on the default visuals, because I find these default visuals very strong, and they really help, in bringing out good insights from the data. So for a start, what we'll do is I'll start with a clustered bar chart. So you select on the visualization you want to create. Once you select on it, Power BI creates a blank visualization here. OK, now just to get a basic insight, let's just see how many products, travel insurance products different agencies have sold. OK, so what we'll do is we'll go to travel insurance. I want number of products by agencies. So I get my agency type here. And I want the count of products. That's basically my total products or number of products. So what I do, I'll move this product name column to value section. And you see Power BI has by default given it a summarization of count. So that's a nice thing about it. Like you move a column and it by default summarizes. So in some cases, this is really helpful. So it shows you like how many products travel agencies have sold and how many products airlines have sold. Now, just to clear up the information, what additional things we can do is we can add some formattings to the chart. So if you go to this format button or paintbrush button, if you want to say it, you click on it, there are multiple format options. What I'll do is I'll just switch on the data label. So, I just get how many products they have done, products they have sold. And suppose if I just want to display the number as a whole number without any, representation of thousands or millions. So this is like the display format you want for your number. So you can do that. You can change the data colors if you want. Like, for example, if I want to give travel agency a different color, I can give travel agency a different color and airlines a different color. So that's how you can do it that way as well. So there are multiple formatting options you can do on a chart. Now, one thing what we see in this chart is it is a straightforward insight. Travel agencies are selling more insurance products and airlines are selling less insurance products. OK, now before we go to the next chart where we'll try to find out answer to this insight, what we got, like why travel agencies are selling more products. Before going to that, I would like to show you some kind of tweak here. So here we can see a number is represented as 45869. I know it is 45,869, but it's not represented in a standard way. A user might, want to see that number in. So what we'll do is to represent this number in a format, we'll just create a simple calculation in Power BI. So Power BI gives you options to create multiple types of calculations. So for example, when you click on a data set, right click on a data set, it gives you three options. One is either you can create a measure, or you can create a new column, or you can create a new quick measure. Now, quick measures are something, these are the inbuilt measures given in Power BI. So suppose if you click on new quick measure, so Power BI just gives you, like, for example, what kind of calculation you want to create, like average per category, or you want to create some kind of filtered calculation, or you want to create some time intelligence calculation like month to date or month over month change or rolling averages, or you want to create some totals like running totals or totals by categories. So those are the inbuilt quick measure gallery that Power BI has given you and which you can create here. But for this part, we'll just create a simple measure. Now, once you click on that new measure thing, a new formula bar appears on the top. Now what I want to create is I just want to create a measure to count the total products. OK, so I'll just give the measure a name, that is total products. Now in Power BI, once you start typing stuff, like for example, I want to count number of products, right? In this chart, what we did, we just counted the product name, right? So that's what we want to add on that measure. So what we'll do is I want to count. So like there are multiple functions related to count, but we just want a simple count. So I click on count. Now Power BI shows you what kind of arguments you need to pass to this function. So for example, I just want to count product name. So if I type product, Power BI just shows me that name. So I don't need to type everything complete. Power BI just shows me everything and I can just select it. Just hit enter and select it. I close the bracket because that's a function. And if I hit enter, this measure is created. OK, now what I'll do, I'll just move this measure to the values section. OK, now once I move this to values section, I still see the value is represented same way, but we want to represent the value, then this numeric value in a good format. So what I'll do, I click on my total products here. Once I click on it, on the top ribbon, I can see like what are the formatting options available for it. Now, can you see this small 1000 separator icon? So this is a separator icon which helps in representing the numbers in a good way. So suppose if I click on that, it just converts my total products measure to be represented as this. So this is basically the way high level people or management people or the stakeholders would like your numbers to be represented on your report. So it's a small tweak you can do to just show those numbers in a better way. So what we'll do, we'll just remove the previous one and we'll just keep the total products because that is represented in a good way. Now let's find answer to this, why travel agencies are selling more insurance products than airlines. Now, in the data set, when we saw the data set, we saw something like commission. So whenever travel agencies or airlines are selling an insurance product, there's a small commission value attached to every product they sell. So let's do a small thing like let's try to represent average commission value they charge for selling a product. OK, so what we'll do is I'll take a clustered column chart this time, move it just here. And I want to get an average commission value by this agency type. So what I'll do is I move the agency type to access. I bring the commission value here. Now, once you move a numeric value, Power BI by default gives it a summarization of sum. But here I'm looking for, I just want to see the average commission they're earning while selling those products. So I'll just do it to set it to average. And just to make things clear, we'll just move the data labels here, OK, because data labels just make things more clear. So now if you see, airlines are charging $16 on an average while they sell an insurance product, but travel agencies are charging only $8 while they sell a travel insurance product. So I think we have an answer why travel agencies are actually selling more products, because they are just charging less commission to their customers. So because it's like 50% less to what airlines are charging. So I think that's the answer why travel agencies are selling more products than airlines. So this is basically, kind of the good thing when you start doing data analysis on a basic data set. You start analyzing it, creating basic charts, you come up with few questions, and then you try to find out answers to it. So that's a good thing. And it's very easy to do in Power BI. So now what I'll show you next is I'll show you a few more visuals we can do in Power BI. So in Power BI, suppose if you want to drag two charts together. So what you can do is use Control key, select both the charts, drag with your mouse. So basically it's easy to just control and move them anywhere around. Now the next visual I want to show you is a slicer. So slicer is under visualizations. You click on it, a blank visual appears. Let me put a simple column in there. So for example, destination. So when I move a column to a slicer, it by default creates a list. But suppose if I don't want the list, then when you hover over the slicer, there's something called a drop down here. So when you click on it, it shows you the other options you want to represent this slicer as. So suppose by default it is list, but I don't want it as list and I want it as drop down. So I'll just select drop down. And there you go, your slicer is converted to a drop down. So it's up to you, like how you want to create your slicers or show it on your reports, and then you can select the appropriate option. Now as the name suggests, slicer, now slicers can be used to slice and dice data at a different level. So for example, if I select something from destination, like suppose select Belgium. When I select Belgium, both of my bottom charts are now showing numbers only for Belgium. So that's how, you can use slicers to give a different view to your report or to your charts. Now, suppose if I want to clear my selection, so when you hover over a slicer, a eraser kind of icon appears. And once you click on it, it just clears my selection and my charts are back to the overall numbers. Then similarly, if you want to create another slicer, so you can bring in a slicer from here, or suppose you can do simple copy paste here. If you're working on a Windows machine, just click your slicer, Control C, then do Control V, then you have a copy of the slicer. Now, suppose if I want to move something else, like suppose if I move claim, so I get that slicer there. So then I can use them. And these slicers can be used together as well. So like Canada and claims, yes. So chart changes, China, and with claim value, yes, then chart changes. If I select no, then the chart. So you can apply multiple slicers in one go to your charts or report. Okay, let's just clear the slicer. So we have the numbers here, and let's just rename this page, because it's a good practice. Like when you're trying to do your report, it's a good practice to rename, like which page has got which kind of analysis. So for example, this has got product analysis. So I'll just click on it and I'll just name it as, oh, sorry, this is agency analysis. So we just put like agency type analysis. Okay, now let's create a new page where we'll try to bring out other insights. So in Power BI, just click on this plus sign for new page. Click on it, a new page is added. Now let's do some kind of product analysis. Let's see like what volume of different insurance products have been sold. So what I'll do, I'll just select a simple chart, clustered column chart that we saw before. We'll just move product name to the axis, and we'll move the volume or the total products to the values. So it will kind of show me like, which product is sold most. So for example, in Power BI, this is something called focus mode. If you click on it, it just makes your chart bigger. Okay. So when you do that, you can clearly see that cancellation plan is the most sold product, which is followed by two-way comprehensive plan, rental vehicle, basic plan, bronze plan, and so on. Now, when you go further down on this axis of the products, you can see like these products don't give me much insight. So let's do one thing. Let's convert this chart to just show us top 10 most popular products. So how we do that is we do that using visual level filter in Power BI. Now, before I do that, I'll just explain you different kind of filters that we have in Power BI. If you see, there's something called filter pane here. If you click on it, it gives you two options. One is filter on this page and one is filter on all pages. Now, filter on this page, it's easy to understand. Like if you move anything here, that will be applicable only to this page. So for example, if I move agency type, okay. Now, if I select travel agency, the chart changes. Now let's go to the previous page. When you go to previous page, filters on this page doesn't show anything because my agency type filter works only on this page. So that's what filter on this page does. Okay. Now, let's talk about filter on all pages. Now, filter on all pages, obviously, it's easy. Filter on all pages, if I move anything here, it will be applied by default to all the pages on my report. So suppose, again, if I move agency type, and if I go to my first page, I see agency type in filter on all pages section. So that's what filter on all pages do. And they are like report level filters, basically. You do anything here, the same thing will be applied on all the pages. Okay, so that's what filter level pages are. Now comes visual level filter. Whenever you click on a visual, a third section comes filter on this visual. It shows you the columns or measures that you have moved on the chart to represent the information. In addition, it also gives you flexibility to apply some filters here. Now, suppose I just want to get top 10 products based on volume. So what I'll do is, now products are my product name column. I click on this arrow, I expand it. When I expand it, it gives me what kind of filter I want to apply on it. Now I want to just select top 10 products, right? So top 10 products by what? By volume of products. So I move my measure here. Once I apply it, this filter is applied to this visual. So this is what visual level filter or filters on this visual does. Let me just switch on the data labels to get the numbers right. Okay. So that's what visual level filter does. Now this tells us a very good insight. It tells us, okay, these are my top 10 products, and it's like a very good insight for maybe marketing people, like how they need to market their other products or these products. So yeah, it's a good insight for top 10 products. Now let's do one more thing. Let's try to represent total sales these products have generated. Okay, so what we'll do is, as I showed you previously, you can simply click a visual, use Control C and do Control V. It just creates a copy of the visual. Okay. Now what I want to do is I want to represent this volume of top 10 products along with the net sales they have generated. Now, basically, we are looking to represent two metrics on a single chart which share the same axis. Now, there's a chart called line and clustered column chart in Power BI. Okay, so this chart allows us to represent two metrics on the same chart which share a common axis. Now in Power BI, one good thing is if you click on your existing chart, which is a clustered column chart, but now I want to convert it to a line and clustered column chart by adding my new metric of net sales, I can click on this chart. It still keeps my chart, okay, but it gives me an add-on functionality to add my new metric. So in this case, I want to add net sales. So I'll take net sales, drag it to the line values, okay? Because in my column values, I already have total product volume. And just to make it clear, we'll just change the colors. Okay, so we can see the net sales generated by our top 10 travel insurance products. Now let's go back and try to compare the charts, okay? Now, if we compare this top and bottom chart, we can see like cancellation plan is the most popular product that's been sold by these agencies, but it's not the top product generating most sales. If you see the top product that's generating most sales is the two-way comprehensive plan, which is on second number in the top 10 products chart. So one reason, like, as I'm not a insurance product expert, domain expert, but still I can make a vague guess, like maybe two-way comprehensive plans are more expensive than cancellation plans. That's why they're generating more sales, though they are not the top product sold. So that's an additional insight that we have got here. So now this is our product. Yeah. So this is the product analysis. Okay. Now, as I've just got 5 minutes to wrap up, so what I'll do, I'll take you to the ready report, which I created because I don't have enough time to create everything here. So this is a ready report, which I created using this travel insurance data, and I've done 3 different data analyses here. So in Power BI, you can create some kind of navigations going from one page to another page. So that's the approach I've used here. So this is like a home page, which says travel insurance data analysis. And I've got 3 different case studies here. Like the first thing is travel product summary, second is travel age-wise summary, third is travel gender summary. Now we saw travel product summary. Let me take you to travel age-wise summary. So you just click on this and it will take you to a new page, which shows you, details around travel age-wise analysis. So we can see on the left, I've got a KPI, which has got total insurance product I see in my data. I've got different slicers, which I can use to, slice and dice my charts here on the right. So, and here I've got similar charts, like this chart shows total products by different age groups. So what I did in the data, we didn't have these age groups. So I created these age groups buckets by adding a calculated column in Power BI. And then I ended up with these buckets and I represented total products by these age buckets. And along with them, I've also represented the proportion of claims they have made. Similarly, at the bottom, I've got net sales along with the commission that's generated by these different age age groups. Then on the top, I've got a back button. You can click on it. It will lead you to the home page again. Then you can go to a different study. Let's go to gender wise. So here I've got similar layout, all the slicers, all the KPIs, and I've got few information here. Now, one thing only I want to point on this page is, you remember we had some empty values in the data, and you can see like unknown, the empty values are actually dominating the gender level analysis. So that's why it's very important to, handle your empty values before you do any data analysis, because male and female here doesn't make any difference. They are exactly same. So that's why it's an important step to handle null or empty values in your data. Then I've tried to give similar charts here. So that's the kind of, simple navigations you can create in Power BI. You can create different studies, and, you can create these kind of charts. You can bring in custom backgrounds. So I've given like a custom background here, which is, color shaded. So those kind of things, you can change formattings for your slicers. So yeah, these kind of things you can do in Power BI just to make your reports more interactive. Then apart from this, in the end, I've just got like a list of Power BI resources. If any one of you who would like to, learn Power BI, so as a beginner, then these resources are really good, because I myself follow them on day-to-day basis, and they are really helpful because these guys keep on updating these resources. Then yeah, if you guys really like the session, then please give us a feedback, because this feedback is really important for all of the speakers and the organizers, which will really help us in doing better next time. So yeah.
Actually, the link that's on the screen is the link from the last conference we did. So I pasted the correct link in the chat.
Thanks.
Sorry.
Thanks, Ita, for that. So yeah, that's it. And yeah, I've if you just need a single link, like from where you can, browse all these resources for learning, I can just paste that in the chat. If you guys just want, I just wrote a simple blog some time back, and it just gives you all the resources what I find useful. So maybe hopefully you'll find it useful. And yeah, thanks guys. That's it I've got to say today. And hopefully this session was helpful, and I'm just hoping everyone got something from it.
Oh, that was a fantastic presentation. Oh, yeah, I could tell people liked it.
I'm sorry about the technical issues
that
just came up in the starting. I'm sorry about that.
Oh, great. Thank you so much. That was wonderful. Well, I've got to run into another room for another session, but someone else will be here to start the next one. But thank you again. That was wonderful. Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Thanks for having me, guys. Thank you so much.